In the last tutorial, when I was talking about global and local functions, I told you that I will talk to you about the module pattern, which will basically allow you to call your variables from other JavaScript documents in other JavaScript documents, obviously all linked up to the same HTML or PHP page. But I feel that before I do that, I have to talk to you about functions. So here we go. A function is basically something, a block of code which you can be called once, like so. Let me stop babbling on. So let's create a quick function, and then you name your function ASD, bang, and then that is basically a function. Now this function is a bit pointless to say because it's actually not doing anything. So let's just say console.log, and then we'll just say ASD has been run, and so. But this actually won't do anything. So what we do now is we just call ASD like so. Now if we save this, and if I just come up here and say that, because that is open, and then command R, command option I, ASD has been run. So that is a function. Now if you're new to program, you may be like, so couldn't I just have run that console.log here, this function here, down here on its own without having to waste space? Now that's because I've already made a simple example. But if you've written several lines of code in here, instead of having to call it each time that you want to write it, all you have to do is to call it once like so. Now let's say for instance you're talking about more complex functions. Now I don't know if that's the real name, but from my tired brain, what I'm trying to say is functions with things inside the parentheses. Now let's say you had X, I'm just going to say X, Y, Z. So basically when you call this function here, you'd have to put in an operator, so things in here. So the value for X will be first, value for Y will be second, and the value for Z will be third. Now this can be whatever you please, so 10, 80, 28 and 45. So now 10 is acting as X, 28 is Y, 45 is Z. Now this is very useful if you basically it basically helps you call this function and then give the function new things to work through. Because this isn't really a working example, you may not fully understand the power of what this actually does. But let's say you need a function that will tell the time, for instance. What you could say, you could call this here time, and then you say country, and then you can say date and then time here. So I mean, it's okay, you can say country, time zone, and then something else for the last one. So basically when this function here is called, it will basically say the country. So in there you basically have in fact let me rewrite this completely so you understand what it is I'm trying to talk about. Function get time, so country and time zone. Okay, so get time, and then we're gonna say UK because that's where we are, and then we're gonna say GMT. I actually don't know where this is going. So in here what you'd say is you basically say, let me just replace it very simply. So console dot log like so. The country, oh whoopsie, forgot to encase to open this up. The country is space plus country another plus again, and the time zone is space plus time zone. Okay, now when we run this function here, we'll be able to see that. In fact, let me just show you. Okay, reference error UK is not defined. Right, yep, so that was my bad. I have to do that, don't I? Because if you don't, because this is a string, because it wasn't in quotes, single quotes or double quotes, it's basically treated it like a variable. Okay, so you can see here the country is UK and the time zone is GMT. So basically, if we change this to US, and then they use a load of different time zones down there. Command R, blah blah blah. So now, what you can do now is you can just copy this, and then you can write this down like so. So back to the homeland, GMT. I don't know any other time zones. I know there's like Eastern time, something. I will use BST as well. BST. Now basically what this function will do is this function will basically call this once and it will be that, call this again and it will be that, and call that and then it will be that, but correctly. So let me just save that and then refresh the page. So you can see each time the function has been called, it's passed in those variables that we put in the parentheses like so, and then that is basically how you utilize a function. In the next tutorial I will talk about self-invoking function and explain why it is that they work, and then after that hopefully I'll be able to talk you through the module pattern. I incorrectly called it the YUI module pattern. That's actually the Yahoo variant of it. But as for this tutorial, thanks very much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.